You feel it down your friggin' crotch.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason, Joe, and Kramzer here. It is 1972 week here. A new concept for the channel, covering a year during a week instead of an artist. If you missed it, I already gave my top 25 albums yesterday. Go back and check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Today, it is Kram's turn. How was the experience for you?
Pretty good, Jason. I'd say the major differences between your list and mine so far is I'm going to have a little more classic prog albums, and I'm going to have far more live stuff because I am just a junkie for live albums, and that's going to be in my 25 spot as a live album. Subsequently, it is the only one that Jason had, and it is Rock of Ages by the band. This is a really cool set list. It's done in one venue in New York over like 3 days. This is like, if you never heard a studio album by the band, this album would almost suffice to supplement it. Like, you get a lot of the hits. You get, W.S. Wolcott Medicine Show, Chest Fever, The Weight, all of like the big hits. They close with like a Rolling Stone. It's pretty cool. You get all the highlights. Everyone kind of has their moment. It's a pretty cool live album, and it sounds really good. In fact, all of the live albums I had on here, I'm just like in love with the way they sound. Even one that you guys probably think sounds crappy, but we'll talk about that later. My number 24 is also a live album, and all these are 4 stars and up, but I've got Hendrix in the West. It is a posthumous album, and this one just has like a really electric feel. It's nice and quick, but you get some of those like really expansive like jams with like Red House and stuff like that, Voodoo Child at the end, really cool version of Johnny Be Good. And he also has that famous kind of version of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, where I think Paul McCartney is like on an interview somewhere, famous interview, where he's talking about him and like Eric Clapton being in the audience for it or something, and just being kind of blown away. And obviously the guitar just sounds amazing. And everyone, Mitch Mitchell's just a god on drums. You can really hear it. My number 23 is going to be one that Jason had as well. It is Music of My Mind by Stevie Wonder. I'm sure Joe is really happy to hear this. All really good songs. They call it progressive soul. There's a nice like sexiness coming to the surface. It's kind of like a more mature record for him at the time, and the songs kind of expand out with like this jazzy prog nature. Super cool. Not really a bad song on it. Then at number 22, I'm back to a live album, and it's one that has a lot of hisses and pisses and crappiness to it, but that's kind of the whole point. It is Live at Max's Kansas City by the Velvet Underground. They had like Joe just had a little seizure, 2-week like stay at this venue, and it's got such a really cool live natural feel. There's a ton of hiss. It was done with like a tape recorder by Andy Warhol or something. It's like the legend, and then they later mastered it and everything, but you get a lot of like great songs and a lot of just great in between banter. Like you can hear someone ordering like drinks from a server and stuff like that. It's just one of those great like scenic albums with a lot of good pulse behind it. And then number 21, I'm going with a classic prog album by a band that, because of a merely good review I gave of their newest album, think that I'm the biggest piece of shit ever. Jethro Tull with Thick as a Brick. I like early Jethro Tull quite a bit. Parts 1 and 2 are just really epic. I think the radio edit that you always hear of Thick as a Brick is beautiful, but all the proggy, jammy kind of classical stuff is amazing as well. And it rocks. One of the most underrated guitarists of all time. And I like just the record itself because you get those 2 big parts 1 and 2, and then you get live versions so that are just like spot on. So you can almost just pick like what you want to listen to in like a 25-minute time. So those are my top 5. There won't be as many live albums coming out later, but I'm not done with the live stuff.
Well, the live album inclusion is definitely going to push off a bunch of classics. So it'll be interesting to see what gets left out. It'll be interesting to see if I have any live albums or if I'm just going straight masterpiece after masterpiece. That'll be tomorrow. So far, I don't like it, but let's see. I'm hoping you can do better for 2016 here.
I'm wondering how many more live albums you could have. I don't think there's that many that could even really be considered for a top 25. There's a couple left, but I can't imagine you having many more.
There's one left, I think, and it's the one that I thought Jason would have for sure, but we're not talking about it for much later because it's one of my favorite albums of all time. So let's get on with it. Number 20, I do have my lone country entry, which is light years better than any of the country stuff that Jason had. It is Linda Ronstadt. Linda Ronstadt, she is one of my favorite vocalists of all time. Her voice is so iconic. It's such a weird blend of being like approachable but impressive at the same time. It's just got like that girl next door quality to it, but it's so infectious and just cuts like butter. Obviously, just these sweet, heart melting songs, all covers. She also has a cover of the great Rock Me on the Water by Jackson Browne, which came out the same year. She's great. I Won't Be Hanging Around. Ramblin' is amazing. And it's got a lot of really cool, lively 70s guitar rock on it as well. My number 19, I've got Eat a Peach by the Allman Brothers, which is a really cool blend of getting some live tracks, especially for a double album. The way they split up Mountain Jam is really smart because sitting through 35 minutes of that is tough. But you get One Way Out, that live version is classic. And then you get like the very popular radio version of Melissa, which is a beautiful song. Kicks off with Ain't Wasting Time No More. I mean, what more could you want? You've got really well-written tunes by really great blues players. Then my number 18, I've got Talking Book by Stevie Wonder. Joe's got to be happy about that. It wasn't in my top 3 for Stevie, but it is a great album, no doubt. There's just too many damn good songs, and it moves really well. Like You and I is a good ballad. There's really cool synth parts. You Got It Bad is awesome. It's just got a really cool like electricity behind it, and I believe it's just absolutely beautiful. It's kind of like, it's not my favorite album because I think there are some duds on it, but you get a good sense of all of his talents, no doubt. Number 17, I'm still in Joe's La La Land here. I've got Can't Buy a Thrill by Steely Dan. They go a little bit more Steely Danny after this. Steely Daniele after this. This one is probably their more rock and roll album. I mean, Reelin' in the Years is probably the closest to like something some other band could have done, like a version of that song. But the way it kicks off with Do It Again and everything is just fantastic. You get a sense of what they are. Like Jason said in the other video, they're obviously like smarter than the average rock band. And then number 16, totally out of Joeville here, but I'm going with Transformer by Lou Reed, breaking a lot of cool sexual boundaries here, especially with Walk on the Wild Side. But you get the tremendous Wagon Wheel, Vicious, Satellite of Love. He's just got that cool, cooler than cool beatnik style to everything, like the wannabe jazz poet kind of look and everything. But I think it's really underrated of how good the songs are here and how much charisma he has behind the mic. So those are my new 5.
Okay, I can dig that one. Much better than the first 5. Although I'm going to spoil a little bit. I had Eat a Peach on mine. I couldn't sit through Mountain Jam, so I took it off my 25. If you stream it, you have to sit through all 30 minutes of Mountain Jam in a row, and it is really tough. And I just couldn't, like, if I can't get through the whole record, I can't have it on a top 25 list. It's a great album, but that Mountain Jam just kills it for me.
I agree about Mountain Jam, and I like the Linda Ronstadt pick. I'm glad you have it on your list. Only a 3.5-star record for me, though.
Pearls Before Swine. All right, my number 15. This is one Jason had. I will almost slam dunk guarantee Joe has it as well. So it'll be interesting to see how many trifecta picks we have here. But I've got Volume 4 by Black Sabbath. Starting to get a little weirder, and it has my favorite, unexpectedly favorite Black Sabbath song, which is that beautiful piano ballad of Changes. Ozzy is one of the most underrated singers of all time, and you can hear it directly in that song. Like, if you didn't tell, I guarantee if you played that song even to the average rock fan, they would not know that it was Ozzy because it's just so emotive and powerful. And then you get like the cool instrumental tracks with like Laguna Sunrise and FX, Supernaut, Snowblind. They're just coked out and feeling weird and still riffing, and Everything's awesome. Number 14, I've got All the Young Dudes by Mott the Hoople. Great, great, great glam rock. Be interesting to see if Joe has that one as well. Obviously, the track list is just tremendous. There's great songs all over it. Really awesome bendy guitar playing. You get just that passionate, like celebratory whiningness to it. And I'm just going to say it. I prefer their version of Sweet Jane. So I've got that one on here. I'm going to keep with some of your favorites here, boys. 13, I've got Machine Head by Deep Purple. Highway Star is one of the best album openers of all time. And in the video that Jason did, he said he thinks Ian Gillan is just as influential as Robert Plant. And I would probably agree with that. I think if you listen to hair metal and stuff, you obviously hear more Ian Gillan. But that might have to do with just like it's really also hard to sound like Robert Plant and do it just as well and kind of get that mystical folk nature. But yeah, good call about Ian Pace before his drum work here. It's a much more slippery, like moving pocket than like John Bonham's more heavy, heavy footed, stick it in the ground kind of kick work. But it's pretty awesome. And obviously Blackmore is just unreal on guitar in this album. Then number 12, I've also got Bare Trees by Fleetwood Mac, which was my second favorite Fleetwood Mac, and we're in 4.5-star territory here. Perfectly said before by Jason. It's that blend of like blues and pop, and they're doing just like weird experimental stuff. It's almost closer to like a San Francisco song that they've ever done, except for just how kind of rockin' the rhythm section of the guitars is with Kerwin and Welch. Absolutely phenomenal. Nick Fleetwood is always an underrated drummer, and he's killing it on this album as well. And then finally, my number 11, and pretty much, yeah, from here on out, it's all kind of classic picks. Like you're going to see a lot of these albums on the Best of 72 list. I'm not too crazy. I'm not going to put that Cross and whatever album in the top 5. But that's just ludicrous. But I've got Roxy Music by Roxy Music. So many good songs and just such a like flag waving introduction to like the music that I would like 30 to 40 years later with like Radiohead and LCD Sound System. You just get that weird blend of like artistry and angular kind of rock, and a lot of like stuff that would come soon after, like post-punk. You get a little bit of that. Brian Eno obviously is hugely influential on this album, and the songs are fun. They're enjoyable while also being like really intellectual. So Virginia Plain is a classic for a reason. What more could you want?
I could want more, a lot more. Interesting to see Bare Trees on both of your lists. That not even close for me. Not even, just that's a bad pick. I'll just say it. Other than that, I mean, I'm not going to say bad things about Roxy Music because I know how influential it is for hipsters like you. And but 2 Stevie Wonders, that's fantastic. Really happy to see that.
Predicting the top 10, he does have a lot of the big guns still left. Exile, Close to the Edge. His I believe his number 1 back when we did it before was Honky Chateau. That is still on the board. Number 1 record is still out there. Nick Drake is still left.
Mm-hmm.
What are the other big ones that are still?
Joni Mitchell,
Ziggy.
Al Green, maybe. I mean, there's a bunch of soul still. I don't know if he's going to have any other prog stuff. I don't think we're going to see something like Santana. I don't know. It's interesting. No Foxtrot, no Genesis, no Moody Blues, no ELP. So it'll be interesting. I don't know where some of these are going to come from.
Spoiler, Trilogy by ELP was my like 26.
Ooh.
Just almost made it. What were you going to say, Jace?
I was just going to say, I can think of like 7 or 8 that are almost locks, but there's those couple others that could really be anything. So,
and there's a live album left in the top 10.
What is his big live album?
Well, I'll tell you shortly, but my number 10 for me, I've got The Slider by T-Rex. Everything Jason said about it is true, but it should be downplayed a little bit. It's not one of the best sounding albums of all time, but it is pretty badass. Mystic Lady, Baby Strange, Ballrooms of Mars, Metal Guru is just fantastic. Metal Guru just missed my songs list coming up when we do our favorite songs of 72. But yeah, this is everything you want in a glam rock album. It's strutting, it's got charisma, it's got killer guitar riffs, it's got like that cosmic, mystical love nature to it. But Electric Warrior is better, let's be honest. Number 9 is my live album, and it is Made in Japan by Deep Purple. This is just an amazing 70s rock sound, and as soon as you get like the polite little claps in the audience, and then they come on stage and you just get like the organ kind of warming up and everything, you're just like, wow, this is a 70s live album. It's so cool. But the main attraction of this album is just how good the hits sound. Highway Star, Child in Time sounds amazing. Ian Gillan does not miss a note in like this live performance of Child in Time. It's so friggin' badass. It's the coolest thing ever. Everything's soaring, and the crowd is just like kind of punctuating it. It's not like there's not a lot of crowd noise. They're just kind of there to be like, oh, that was good. Like they're almost like, it's almost like watching a play. It's so cool. You pretty much guessed the rest of my list. Number 8 is Close to the Edge by Yes. Just a tour de force, like orchestral performance of prog rock. It's so awesome. I love the NU and I section the most. It's one of my favorite Yes songs. I love it all. Everyone is running, tumbling on full gear here. And there's just kind of this relentless, like, possession to the way they're playing, where it's just absolutely unbelievable that they can remember how to play everything, remember how the songs go, and they're just playing it so well. And it's not like they're playing it statically, like without feel. Everything's like telling a story and running a gambit of emotions. It's so awesome. Number 7 is For the Roses. This is just by Joni Mitchell. Kind of doesn't get enough credit because it came after Blue, and this is kind of like her singer-songwriter period before she got into the weirder jazz stuff and after she did more of like the hippie folk singer stuff. But man, she just writes freaking killer songs, and her voice is so good. It's not quite as good as Blue, but it's pretty badass, and you get like a little more piano stuff and everything, and I don't know. I just think it's a beautiful set of songs. And then number 6, you got Number 1 Record by Big Star, which has fallen out of my top 5. It was in my top 5, and I've downgraded it to 4.5 like Jason did. I don't know what it is. I used to have it 5 stars. The songs just have kind of mellowed out a little bit for me. I'm kind of on the opposite end of what Jason was saying, where he prefers the ballads. Those kind of drag it down a little bit for me. But, you know, you get Chilton and Bell singing together. Just great power pop, great guitar stuff. Great set of songs. Just, I don't know why. It wasn't like I lost it out of the top 5. It just kind of got pushed out. So there you go.
Okay, that's good. I like all those. Solid. I've no notes, no complaints.
Yeah, pretty expected list. I expect Honky Chateau to retain its title. But let's see.
All right. My number 5 is the album that pushed out. Big Star. Got The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, Spiders from Mars. Awesome, just collection of great songs. I think it might be a little hurt because compared to other Bowie stuff, I might like the second half better. And I'm not crazy about starting with 5 Years and Soul Love, but I mean, Moon Age Daydream, Starman, Hang On to Yourself, Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, Rock and Roll Suicide. Just, I mean, that's 80% of the album. It's absolutely fantastic. You get tremendous guitar work. Such a cool concept. It's almost just like perfectly theatrical. Awesome. Number 4 for me, Exile on Main Street by Rolling Stones. Just such a cool collection of rock tunes. It's got that just cool, dirty rock and roll stamina to it. It's a little bluesy. Actually, it's kind of a lot bluesy, but there's just like this kind of, I don't know, like stamina. Seems like you go to like a show and they're just like refusing to quit, refusing to slow down. And one thing that I really love about it is it's like widely considered by many to be one of their best album, if they're not the best album. And they don't have like a ton of mega hits on it. Like there are songs you'll hear on the radio, like Tumbling Dice and Happy and stuff, but it's not like you're getting, you know, this is the album with Start Me Up and Sympathy for the Devil and everything. Like it's just like rock and roll almost personified. Like a lot of people call it one of the best rock and roll albums ever because it just oozes rock and roll. It oozes sexuality. It oozes swagger. The Rolling Stones, you feel in your body. Like they're not a band up here in your head. You just feel it in here, and it just sweats all over you, and it's friggin' awesome. You feel it down your friggin' crotch. And number 3, I've got Harvest by Neil Young. Gorgeous, wooden, haunting kind of album. You get Heart of Gold on here, Needle and the Damage Done, the big hits. But all of the things on here are beautiful. I love his voice. I love that hollow country sound, and it's just tremendous here. But the drums on this album are kind of what do it for me. They're like nice and sticky, but not too bright, not too low, right in that sweet spot. Number 2, Jason had this one, Pink Moon by Nick Drake. Just the open tunings make you feel like you are just completely free in like a huge meadow and like the cliffs, in like the UK or Ireland, and just nothing around. So effortless. His voice is so calming. It's like drinking a cup of tea in the morning with like the sun coming up. It's just absolute serenity. My number 1 is still Honky Chateau by Elton John. I think this is his kind of coming out party. I think it's his most interesting work. I think the lyrics of Barry Toplin are fantastic. And I think it's kind of like a little bit more flamboyant and expressive. You get the classics like Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters and Rocket Man, obviously, and then so many underrated songs like Slave and Amy and everything. Just absolute tremendous compositions. He's dynamite on vocals. The band never takes over the songwriting or the vocals, but is there perfectly in the background to just supplement everything and create the scene. It's my number 1. And I just like the vibe of it. It's got like this cool cabaret kind of vibe, which I like.
All right, looks like everybody's sticking with their number 1s as number 1s, but nice to see some new fresh faces popping in the top 5.
Good list. Pretty much what I expected. A couple interesting picks further down on your list, like the Linda Ronstadt and Max's Kansas City, Hendrix in the West, Bare Trees. I wasn't necessarily expecting, Made in Japan. So a good blend of what I expected and a couple little surprises. So nice work.
Joe, whose list was better?
Well, it's tough. I gotta see here. Let me take a little. I think I gotta give it to Kramzer for having 2 Stevie Wonder albums instead of just 1. And the top 5 slightly better. I mean, you put Bored Civilians in your top 5, Jason. That's not gonna do it for me. It's not gonna do it.
All right, everyone, let us know what you think of Cram's picks. If you didn't share them yesterday, or if you'd like to share them again, drop your own list down in the comments. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You can find Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, merch, Patreon, and the website in the video description. Follow all of those links. And just make sure you're keeping an eye out all week for all of the different videos dropping. We're doing things a little differently this week, so you're going to get all of our albums and songs videos in separate videos. So just keep an eye on the channel. Make sure you hit that bell so that you are notified when the videos drop. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.